Hey everybody, Mac here. Welcome back to the show. What I have today is something that came as a big surprise to me when I found it in Walmart. I didn't know this was out. I didn't know this existed. This is Jakks Pacific, Samus Aran from the Metroid franchise. Now, I know Jakks had been putting out some Zelda figures for the Breath of the Wild video game that came out, but I didn't know they did something from Metroid. I didn't know they did Samus. And when I saw this on the peg, I think this was only like maybe a $10 figure. So when I saw her on the peg, I was like, I had to get her. Because I know I talk a lot about Halo. I know I talk about Doom. But truthfully, Metroid has been like my number one franchise since the 80s, back when it was a 2D side-scroller game. I've always loved the Metroid games, and when Metroid Prime came out, that was when I think I really fell in love with the franchise. The only reason I haven't really talked about them is because I haven't played them much. I think the last Metroid game I played was Metroid Prime 2, maybe? And the only reason it's been that long is just because I haven't really bought a Nintendo since the GameCube. I never even thought to look for Metroid figures. I didn't think there were any Metroid figures until I saw Samus on the peg this weekend at Walmart, and it wasn't even something I thought about. I just grabbed the package, pulled it off the peg, threw it in the cart. Now, unfortunately, I think this is the only figure so far for the Metroid franchise. So we don't have things like any of the Metroids. We don't have Ridley. We don't have any of the other characters or monsters for the franchise to team Samus up with. But what we do have looks pretty good, and I'm really, really, really excited to get this figure out of the packaging. So we just have a standard card back, great image of Samus up here in the corner, the Metroid logo, very Spartan, and I really like that because I really like how the package is just the figure, and the figure is really what sells you. You can see Samus here, her morph ball self over here, Samus's name across the bottom. You can see it even says Samus with morph ball, the Jakks logo on the back. We have a nice, pretty promotional shot of the figure. We have some pictures that show articulation. I didn't even notice until just now, but we even have a little bit of a bio right here. Whoop, focus in. Focus in. Samus Aran is the galaxy's foremost bounty hunter. Her mighty Vara suit grants her incredible abilities, such as her morph ball capability and powerful arm cannon. Now, what would also be cool is if they started to give us other variants of the armor, like the Zero suit, the Fusion suit, even like the Dark Samus suit, where that would be just an easy repaint of all of this. Like, it could be really cool. But let's stop talking about the game, and let's just get her out, and let's take a look at Jakks Pacific, Samus Aran from Metroid. Alright, here she is, Samus out of her blister package, and putting the tape measure to her, we can see that she is just over 4 3/4 inches to the top of her helmet. Taking a look at Samus up closer, I have to say that I think this is a really good job by Jakks Pacific. I can't remember the last time I had a figure by them. As a matter of fact, now that I'm thinking about it, this might be the only figure from Jakks Pacific that I have. I honestly can't remember. But taking a look at Samus here, I think they did a really good job with the coloring. This is very true to the game. It's very bright. It stands out. I really like some of the detail work they put into the coloring. Like here, the little green lights and like the morph ball shoulders. I love the look of the visor right there. That's not transparent or translucent plastic. That's just some really shiny paint apps right there on the visor. And I think that looks great, how it sort of gives it that light hitting it effect. I really dig that. I also really like that they put like the energy bars, the energy beams there in her arm cannon. I think that's really good. I think the detail on this, for being a figure that's this small, is fantastic. You even have different coloring here in her backpack and her jump pack right here. There is so much like small detail coloring to this that you don't get in a lot of the bigger figures. Like, you don't get this much attention to detail in a lot of, like, say, I don't know, maybe some Marvel Legends figures or even like the McFarlane multiverse figures. Just the amount of detail that went into something like this, which could very well just be a one off, a one and done. And that's really cool. And I even really like here how they even sculpted in like the ribbing of the suits. And you can see the tech lines in the torso right here. Back here, you may not have noticed it, but bringing it up closer, you can see like all of the detail etched into the armor. The only thing that might have made this better is if they would have colored in these lines, but for $10, you're not going to get that. I might get a paint marker, though, a fine-tipped paint marker, and just try and draw in a lot of these sculpted lines in the torso. You don't have them so much in the leg, maybe on the inner thighs, but that's really about it. Now, taking a look at the articulation, let's start at the top. The head doesn't really do much of anything. It can do these short little turns side to side. She doesn't really look up. She doesn't really look down. And there's no real tilt side to side in the head. But the arms will do a full 360. These big shoulder pads move in and out, so you can actually get more travel out of the arm than I thought you were going to. So it goes up to just under 90 right there. Now, there is no bicep swivel, which is kind of disappointing. We'll talk about why in a moment, because I really thought that was going to be a bicep swivel in there, but there isn't one. The arm is just static. Now, it is on a ball joint right here, so you have a little bit of... Oh, no, there is a butterfly underneath there. I just noticed that. They put a butterfly on there, but they didn't give it a bicep swivel. I thought that was the ball joint doing that at first. So it has the butterfly. It also has double jointed elbows with some really good travel. See how she can touch her big shoulder pad right there? That's really cool. The wrists will swivel and the wrist pivots in and out. Now the cannon, the arm cannon over here, is also double jointed. Although down here in the cannon, mine sticks a little bit, but it's also double jointed right there. So you can bring the cannon up close if you would want to. There's no crunch at all, no forward and back, but the waist does have a twist that'll do a full 360, and this waist joint is really loose. That's really, I think, my only complaint with the articulation that we have, is that the waist is really loose right in there. Now, down here on the legs, there is a ball joint here at the hip that the legs will come out. The legs will go back. Don't really come up to the side very much, which is unfortunate. Like, that's really all you can get out of her. But it does have a ball joint, so you can turn the leg a little bit on the socket right there. No thigh cut, no boot cut. Double jointed knees, once again with some really good travel. And the ankles will rock back. They'll rock forward, but that part right there hinders it a little bit. So they rock back a little bit as well. There's no ankle twist. There's no forward-facing pin for rock. That's just bending a little bit. Now on the bottom, we have some really good tread pattern on the bottom of our boots right there. But that is what we have for the articulation. So if I could have changed one thing, I don't think it would have been in the legs. If I could have changed one thing, it would have been to put a bicep swivel in here, because I would have loved to have been able to get like an arm cross pose. Oh wait, maybe we can sort of get her hand up on top of the cannon like she does sometimes in the promo shots. Does the butterfly joint? Oh, the butterfly joint kind of lets you get it. You can cheat a little bit. I still would have liked to have seen a bicep swivel so you could get the hand more over top of the cannon, but that's pretty cool. Also forgot to mention that we do have a big gap for the cannon right here. Instead of it just being blunted and painted in, we do have a large gaping barrel right there, but that's really too big for any blast effects that I have to fit into it. You might have some, but I don't have anything that would be able to go into a barrel that size. The only accessory we get with Samus is her morph ball mode, and I like how it has like this green neon stripe going right down the middle, like whenever she's spinning around in Metroid Prime. I think this looks great for what it is. It's very small. It's light. It's basically the same weight and has like a lot of the same consistency of like a ping pong ball. Like it's very hollow, light plastic, but I really like the look of it. It'll roll very easily, but also with this groove in there, it also has the ability to just focus in. It also has the ability to just sit on its own. That's one thing. Like, it would have been cool if this would have come with like a stand that you could put this on, but also if you take a look back at Samus's feet, she doesn't have any peg holes, so you really can't put her on a stand. And now for size comparison, the only thing I have that really is close to the same size as her are the Demon Slayer figures from Bandai Namco Ultimate Legends. Here is Tanjiro and Inosuke. Here she is beside McFarlane Toys' Avatar The Last Airbender 5-inch line. Here she is beside Hasbro G.I. Joe Classified Series Cobra Trooper and Snake Eyes. Here she is beside McFarlane Toys' DC Multiverse Lex Luthor and Power Armor and Diamond Select Toys Maximilian from the Black Hole. Here she is beside Lanyard Toys' City Hunter Predator and Xenomorph Drone. And finally, here she is beside Jazzware's Spartan Collection Master Chief and Noble 6. The only thing I can say to think about before you pick up this figure is that there's not going to be much that you have to match her up with. I think it's pretty safe to say that this is the only thing we're going to get from the Metroid franchise. I don't foresee an entire wave of Metroid figures coming down the line from Jakks, which is kind of unfortunate because I really feel like there is a lot to mine from the Metroid franchise. Everything from like the Chozo to the Space Pirates to the Metroids themselves to all of the monsters that populate like the worlds of Metroid. I just think that there's a lot there that they could mine for a really cool sci-fi franchise, but hey, what do I know? One thing I can tell you is that I really dig this figure, even though I don't have anything else to match her up with, but that is because I really, really love the Metroid games. They were pretty much Metroid, the first Metroid was pretty much my gateway into video gaming. That's how much this franchise means to me, and I was really glad to get Samus. As far as complaints with the figure go, I wish it had a bicep swivel. That's really all that I think that it's missing, and I talked about that during articulation. I think the sculpt looks good. I think the paint job's really good. I think the colors are bright. I think they pop. I think for like a $10 figure, you're not going to get anything better. This is really, really well done. This really looks like what I picture Samus being in 3D plastic form. If I had one more wish for this figure, it's that it would be at the 6-inch scale so that like I could blend it in, at least with my G.I. Joe Classified line, and other people would be able to put it in with their Star Wars Black Series. I mean, Samus is a bounty hunter after all. Whether or not this is for you, that varies. It depends on, are you a fan of Metroid? Are you a fan of sci-fi? Are you a fan of really good looking figures for an affordable price? If you're not a fan of any of that, or if you only want figures at the 1/12 scale, then this may not be for you. Like I said, I don't have anything else to match her up with, which is kind of a bummer, but because I like Metroid so much, I just had to have her. I know this one was kind of short, but truthfully, there's not much with this figure. It's just the figure, some articulation, and the morph ball. And the morph ball is cool, I just don't know what I'm going to do with it. I almost would have rather had a little Metroid as a pack-in rather than the morph ball itself. That is all I have for you today. We have more coming down the line, so until then, my friends, play well. Stay safe, stay healthy, and as always, thank you for watching.